Hey, how you doing? We're going to introduce railings in Revit today. It's railings can be a bit trickier than some of the other elements. Okay, uh, you get the hang of it. It starts to make sense, I guess. Now, I've already tried making this video and it went on too long, so I'm going to try and speed through this a little bit. Okay, this is the railing we're going to try and make. Okay, it's from Irish fencing. It's got a baluster that kind of loops up around the top, back down again, and a center pole. Okay, so the elements that we have to make in the railing are the rail at the top, the rail at the bottom, the baluster that repeats along the it's effectively like a sweep, okay, a railing is. And then there's the end posts, okay, at each end. Uh, I'm going to keep this simple as I can, okay? So I'm not going to introduce repeating posts at 2 meter centers and all that kind of stuff, okay? Um, if anybody wants it, they can ask for it, and we'll do another video to supplement this one, okay? Do that sort of stuff. Okay, I'm going to try and get through this, and you can pause and rewind and whatever you need to do, okay? Right. So railings are a system family. So like walls, roofs, uh, floors, all that stuff, you have to use one in the project and duplicate it, okay? Because you can't load one in. Okay. So in our architecture tab, we go ahead and put a railing in. Where's the railing? The railing. Uh, Select one. It doesn't really matter, I guess. I'm just going to select the 900. Okay, we're going to make our railing 900 high. Okay, so 300 maybe. Escape. Okay. Now I'm going to select that railing and do our little 3D section box so we can have a look at it. And let's just hide the section box. Okay. All right. So that's a fairly useless railing. Okay. And maybe you've been using that and wishing you didn't have to. All right. So let's speed through this, Thomas. Okay. Select the railing. We're going to duplicate it. Okay. Edit type, duplicate. Let's call it. There's a proper name for it, I'm sure, but I'm just going to call it looped railing. Okay. And I'm not going to do anything else yet because I'm going to go and create the profiles for the top and bottom rail, and then we'll put them in. Okay. So okay. Escape. So file, new, family. Go down to metric profile rail. There it is. Okay, open. The usual stuff, we need to set up constraints. So we'll align it so that it's placing at the top center of the rail, okay? So reference plane to the left and right, reference plane to the bottom, and there's our rectangle, okay? I'm going to, the dimensions I'm using are a little arbitrary, okay? So dimension, lock this to equals to the center. So just something that kind of looks right, or at least will look right on the screen. Okay, so we have our height. Select that dimension, your parameter, height, leaving everything else the same. And select this dimension, click new parameter, width, everything else the same. So we'll change our height to, I don't know, 10, and our width to 40. So in the create tab, lines, rectangle, corner to corner, lock, 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 lock. Let's give this, oops, let's give this type a name. So it's what, 40 by 10, wasn't it? 40 by 10 millimeters. And okay. Did we save the family? We didn't. Save as family. Profiles. Rail. Over, right, that guy there. Save. Yes. All right, and loaded the project and close. Okay, so select the baluster, sorry, the railing. Edit type. We're going to go into the rail structure. Now there is a top rail in use at the moment. We'll get rid of that in a minute. Okay, so rail structure. We're going to create our own top rail effectively. We don't need the top rail for because the handrail isn't going to overlap the end posts, or anyway, we're not going to do that now. Okay, so insert. We'll call it top rail. Okay, height, let's say 900. Okay, so that's the top height of our railing plus the little loop over the top. No offset. Profile, the one we just brought in. What was it called? Rectangle. There it is. Rectangle 40 by 10. Okay. Material. I'm not going to bother with materials for now. I'll just point out where you need to apply them. Okay. So material for the rails is done here. Okay. So I'm going to create another rail. Push that down. This guy is going to be the bottom rail. Give it a name though, because you're going to reference it in the other parts of the railing. And I want it to be 100 above the bottom. Okay. And we'll decide what the bottom is in a minute, because I don't want there to be any gaps of greater than 100. Okay. Now that's actually 100 minus the 8 mil or 10 mil of the depth of the rail. So again, pick the profile. There it is there. And okay. And we're going to go into baluster placement. Okay. Now the balusters are referenced or constrained to at the bottom to either the base, or the base being the wall or the stairs or the floor or whatever, or the reference plane basically, or it's we say it's the bottom rail. For us, the bottom is going to be the bottom rail, okay? Because I'll show you that picture again. They come down to the bottom rail. They don't go down to the base, okay? So change host to bottom rail. We're not going to change the baluster family yet because we haven't made it, okay? And the top, instead of the top rail element, which we're going to uncheck in a minute, we're going to change it to top rail, the one we just made. And distance from previous, say 300. Okay, we're going to make the loop thing 200 wide. Top offset 0. Okay. We're going to change justification maybe to spread pattern to fit. Baluster family for infill, none. And that's all we're going to do for now, okay? Okay. And okay. All right. So we have our bottom rail, and I see our balusters are now going down to the bottom rail, which is perfect. And we have our top rail, which is kind of sitting inside that other top rail. So we need to get rid of that. I forgot about that. So edit type, uncheck the top, use top rail. Okay. I know we're using the same name for them, but they're two different things. Okay. There's a whole conversation about what that is. Not doing it now though. Okay. Top reference to, okay, cancel. So the edit type, I forgot about the end posts are still referenced to it. Look, see, top rail element. I'm going to change that to top rail, top rail, top rail. Okay. And now I'm going to check it. Okay. All right. So now we have our bottom rail, top rail in place. Okay. Let's go and make the looped baluster for the center. Okay. So file, new, family. It's the first one there, metric baluster. Open. Okay. Let's change the scale now so you can see it a bit clearer. All right. So there's our center, right? We're going to go up to the one side, loop around the top, and back down the other side. Okay, so reference planes. The architecture tab, reference plane, vertical there, and we're going to bring the loop above the top of the railing actually. Okay, so it's going to be the height of this is going to be the height plus the bit at the top of the loop. So I'm going to put another reference plane across the top there. Escape. All right, so again, dimension, the center, and equals. Okay, dimension the width of it, and dimension the top offset. Escape. Select that dimension, create parameter. Right again. All right, so top offset. Okay. Select that dimension, new parameter, width. Okay. I'm going to just edit type here and put in a couple of other parameters. Sorry, the family, I should say, family types. So new parameter. We'll call it, we need a bar radius, okay? Type, okay. I'm going to make that very chunky, let's say 10. Probably wouldn't be that in reality, but leave it at that. And I'm going to create the arc radius, so new parameter, radius. And that's going to be width divided by 2. That doesn't make sense yet, it will. Okay. Do we need anything else? That'll do. Okay. Right. So these pitched or angled reference planes are mimicking the pitch of a stairs or a slope of a wall or whatever. Uh, so if it's flat, they go to 0, and you have flat. You have a 0 on the horizontal. But that's what we're constraining to, okay? At least the bottom anyway in this case. So create sweep. I'm going to sketch path, and we're on the left, right reference plane because we're in the left view there. See? So left, right, okay. Pick lines with lock selected. Pick this guy and this guy. Okay, and I'm going to just create my loop with the start end radius arc. Okay, and there it is. Okay, I'm going to align and lock the bottom of these, the points to this reference plane here. That's going to create a problem for us that I'll show you in a minute. Then we're going to fix it. And unlock, and there we go. Okay, this guy, the top of this arc we want at that reference plane. So I'm going to just give it the same dimension of this one here. Same reference, sorry, parameter top offset. Okay. This technically this is not 100% right with the width and all that because it's actually to the center of the radius of the sweep, but that's fine. And okay. And we have the. Do you know what we didn't do actually? We didn't make a profile. So file, new. Sorry, file, new family, metric profile. We need a circle. Okay. Open. Line, circle. Go to the center there, and click on that dimension. Escape. Gonna select the dimension. Click on the create parameter. Call it radius. Okay. I don't really need to constrain this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Select the circle. There's a center mark visible there. Box, and that center mark appears. Okay, and then you can align and lock. Okay, give me the multiple align. Find the center mark. Locked. Align. Locked. Okay. Radius. We're going to create a new family type. Okay. New type is R10. Radius 10. Okay. It's 10. Okay. I'm going to save this as circle. Probably have one there already. I'll just override it. Basic shapes, circle profile. Yeah, just overwrite. Yes. Load into the project and close, but we're loading it into the family that we're in the middle of creating. Okay. Okay, it's in. So we're still in the sweep command. Okay. So I'm going to go down here to families, to profiles, to the circle we just brought in, the R10, and I'm going to assign a parameter to that radius there so that we can control it within the project. Okay. Select parameter and no bar radius. Okay. And okay. All right. So select profile. Select profile. Select profile. Path. Why is this not working for me? Oh, there it is. Circle profile. Okay. We don't need to change anything on it. That's okay. While it's selected, I'm going to give it a material parameter. You just call it material. Everything else the same. Okay. Okay. Now, that's great. So the problem here is that, see this little gap here? After going to all the trouble of making this thing, that's what's going to happen if it's on a stairs or a slope wall. We don't want that, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the sweep below the reference plane, and I'm going to cut it with a void, okay? So that it lines perfectly with the reference plane. So I'm going to do that by what? I'm going to create two reference planes actually below. Okay, and I'll show you why in a second. Reference plane parallel to this one. Okay, there we go. The other one turns blue when it's parallel. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to mention them. And the radius, in this case, the radius of the bar for each one is enough to bring this down for one, and then to bring the void down to the other one. Okay, so radius and radius bar radius, just say. Okay. So select the sweep again, edit sweep, sketch path. I'm going to bring the path down to the next reference plane down, line, the lock, select it, bing, Select it, bing, okay, okay, and okay. All right, so now I'm going to have to create a void to cut it along that path. I'll go to plan, okay, and I'm going to create a constraint for the void. Just put one either side, reference plane either side, equals them to the center. Change that scale so you can see it better. Okay, and then I'm going to dimension one side and call it radius. Radius. Okay, so that's perfectly to each side of the bar. Back into my left view, create void. Oh wait, we have another problem. Need another reference plane. So reference plane here and here. Okay, and again, these are going to be dimensioned to bar radius. Okay, now create void extrusion. Left, right, reference plane. Okay, pick line. I'm just going to do one void for the two of them. Pick the reference planes out there. Trim the corners. Boom, bing, bang, bash. Okay, perfect. Let's see in that in the plan. So I'm going to lock that to the reference planes. Back to my left view and cut. There we go. See, perfect. All right. Now, I probably should have done that after I created the center bar, but we'll come back to that. All right, so I'm going to create the center bar with the sweep as well. We could do it with an extrusion, but just the sweep is easier to control. So sketch path, left, right, pick line and lock. Okay, pick the center. Fine. Align and lock that little center reference plane there. Okay, it's locked. And what are we going to do with it here? Bring it down. Give it a dimension. Sorry, a parameter actually off of the top rail. Okay, so call that select that dimension, new parameter, center bar top rail offset. Okay, let's call it, let's say 90. 5, looks about right. And the profile is the same. Okay, and assign the material while selected. You could have a different material for the center bar, I guess, but we're not going to bother with that now. Top offset, actually, I wanted that to be about 150. Okay, and right, that looks about right. So we want to cut this bar, okay? So modify, cut, find the void, and cut the bar, okay? Perfect. Let's have a quick look at that in 3D. Okay. Isn't it lovely? Right. So we didn't save this, so save file, save as family. Balusters. I tried making this earlier, so just overwrite that one. Looped baluster. Yeah, replace it. Load in the project, you can close. All right. So select our railing, edit type, go into baluster placement, and change the regular baluster to the one we just made, which was what? Looped baluster, right? We already have the distance from previous is 300 because we made the width 200, or I think we did. I'll go check that in a sec. And top offset is 0 because it has its own offset, okay, in the family. It's constrained to the top rail, bottom rail, perfect. Okay. There it is. Isn't that nice? All right. I just want to check, did I make that 200 wide? I think I did. I did. Okay. All right. So, and that's, by the way, that's where you change the material. You have to do it down here. So if you select the railing and edit type, you can't change the material in here, which is a real pity. That's a bit of a mistake, if you ask me, in Revit. But you have to go down to family types down here, into the type, and change the parameter for the material here. Okay, I'm not going to do it though. As I said, I'm going to leave the materials for now. Okay, and it'll be the same with the end post. All right, so that's the one thing we haven't created yet is the end post. So let's do that quickly. File, new, family. Let's use the metric baluster post. Okay, we'll call it file, save as, family. I'll overwrite that one there, square end post. Save. Yes. So again, you can bevel the edges and all that, but we're not going to. I'm just going to keep this real simple. Okay, so it's going to be placed at the center. Okay, so the same thing with the reference planes, top, bottom, left, right, and equals them off the center. Change that scale so you can see it better. Now you could make this so it can be rectangular, but we're not going to bother. Just going to make it square, only square. It's 2 dimensions, so it's 1 parameter for square. Okay, and I want it to be 50. Okay, so create types 50 millimeters. Okay, and okay, create the extrusion, the create tab extrusion, square, corners to corner, lock, 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 lock. Okay, while it's selected, you can assign the material, new parameter. Okay, okay, into elevation. So lock it to the bottom there, and lock it to the top. That's it. Load into project and close. Yes. All right, so select the railing, edit type, go into the baluster placement, and down here where we have the posts, we'll change this to the one we just put in, square end post. Square end post and square end post. So the start, middle, and end. Middle being if you have a bend, okay? So where are we constraining it to? The base, yes, we're constrained to the host, okay? We could go into the host, let's say let's say the host is a concrete, I don't know, RC wall or something. You could go into it if you wanted to anchor it into it, but visually, I'm just going to leave it as 0. But you could go in, let's say, 150, 200, whatever, with a minus value. So the top, I'm going to have this top rail. I'm going to offset it plus 150 because that's how much our loop thing goes over the top of the top rail. So just match that. Now the space is in and out from the ends. Okay, so I want this to start at the point where we place the line for the railing, basically. So you'll have to take it in half the width of the railing on one end and in the other end way half at the other end. Okay, so half of 50 is 25 minus 25. Okay, and same thing with the materials. You have to do it down here in the family browser. And okay, there it is. All right. Now you have a problem here where, depending on the length of this railing, you're going to have too wide a gap at the ends, or you won't have. If you had this 5 meters long, it'll still only have one end post at each end. So again, as I said at the start of the video, if anybody wants me to make a follow-up video, we can add in posts at centers of 2 meters or whatever it is. We can do that, okay? But I think this is as good a place to stop as any. That gets you going. If you can make that, you're doing well, okay? Listen, if you found it useful, appreciate the likes and the comments and the subscriptions, and pass it on to somebody else who might use it. Okay, thanks, guys.